I'm sure probably everyone feels it a little bit. It's just, well, how disorienting is it for you? And it isn't just a vertigo thing. So there's also like surfer's ear and swimmer's ear. For SwimRun, the solution is, well, you have to wear earplugs, but to really open up the experience, I know like basically after my first swim runs with Chipper was like, I need to solve this problem. I was like on the lookout to see what would work. And ideally what you want is something that keeps water out, but lets sound in.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boyz, a SwimRun podcast. I'm Chip.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Annie.
Yay!
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Welcome to the
Happy
show.
to be here. Thanks.
If you haven't been able to tell already, we have an episode of Gear Talk coming up. This is episode 246 of the show. And in this episode, we're going to talk about a product that has been mentioned on the show half a dozen,
Countless
maybe
times.
even a dozen times. So we're giving it its own show. And this is SurfEars.
Not
But
Sea
before
Snug.
we get to that,
Did you guys think it was going to be Sea Snug? It's not
The
Sea
Sea
Snug.
Snugs V2. No.
Me too on the sea snugs. But before we get to that, any sort of gear updates, anything that you guys are using or anything cool you're thinking about gear wise?
He'd been loving the Form goggles still.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Been loving those.
Nothing. I feel like this is actually a really rare moment. And I'm holding steady with some things I love that everyone already knows I love.
Wow. I will, in the spirit of Gear Talk, I will say Tala Tala. The Swimmer World Championship just happened. And you know what? ARC product, of course, got a lot of use was the Halo band. I saw tons of people using the little Halo band because the temperatures were a little bit chilly in the water and it was raining to start. So I think that Halo band proved a worthy investment of, $15 or whatever it cost. So it appeared, take that for what you will. But I thought that was cool that I saw lots of those in the wild during.
Yeah, that is cool.
Tala.
I feel like I've actually seen over the years, really, with Halo band. What do we use this with? So it's cool to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no real gear updates on my end. Feel like gear is just in a good place right now.
Yeah.
Dialed.
It's good.
We're all feeling
Yeah, it
dialed
feels
in.
good. It feels good. Lest anyone think that we just get gear because we want new stuff. We haven't done that in the last month.
We're trying.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But speaking of something that was broke and that we fixed, I think collectively in our little corner of the internet is this problem, which is some people need to swim with earplugs in cold water, and that becomes a challenge for SwimRun because you're not just swimming, you're swimming, running, and swimming and running. So what do? Do you take your earplugs in, take them out? Because one of the problems with earplugs is that you can't really communicate with your partner. It's hard to hear them. So how do you have a great swim run experience when you're trying not to get vertigo while still, interacting with your partner? I'm sure Chipper, who doesn't have this problem, can attest to, how annoying it is for me being like, what's up? What was that? What'd you say?
Yeah, wait, Chip, you're not bothered by water in your ears at all?
No, I guess I've never been or had it severe enough to where I felt like I needed to do something against it. So yeah, I guess I'm lucky in that regard. I don't know if I don't pull my swim cap down any further or anything like that. It just doesn't bother me as much. I don't know if that's
I'm so jealous. It bothers me so much.
So what is
Same.
it's just very disorienting and you could just get really dizzy, basically.
It's like everything on, I feel like there's a legit, if Brooke was here, Brooke, love you, baby. If Brooke was here, she'd be talking about the vestibular impacts of fluid in your ear. It does truly physiologically cause vertigo in some people with a more sensitive vestibular nerves or whatever. The colder it is, it does that. But I also, and that it just makes me feel kind of disoriented. I've never had a full on episode of vertigo, which I know, I mean, that's a different story. For me, it's just incredibly irritating, which I'm a
I
little
mean,
bit embarrassed to admit, but I can tolerate a lot of levels of discomfort, but that's one that and maybe there's something that I'm in denial about, of maybe it does actually make me dizzy, but I hate it. I'll just say I hate that feeling.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I have
Yeah.
definitely been or had been like a little bit like, oh, like that was a long swim getting up a little bit, but it kind of clears itself within, 5 seconds or something.
Yeah.
So I guess mild exposure, mild symptoms.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure probably everyone feels it a little bit. It's just, well, how disorienting is it for you? And it isn't just a vertigo thing. So there's also like surfer's ear and swimmer's ear, which is like the little bony protrusions can get like enlarged, which can actually lead to some hearing loss, and kind of like a bunch of weird stuff. So yeah. So again, for swim run, the solution is, well, you have to wear earplugs, but to really open up the experience, I know, like, basically after my first swim runs with Chipper, was like, I need to solve this problem. And we started the show, I was like on the lookout to see what would work. And ideally what you want is something that keeps water out, but lets sound in. As
It's
basic
tough.
as that is really what you're going for. And the product that I started testing and then started basically becoming like the chief evangelist of is this product called SurfEars. Now they retail for $54.50 on their website. You can get them on Amazon or whatever, and essentially it does exactly what you need it to do. It keeps the water out, but it lets sound in. They have these little sort of like sporty little arms that kind of go tuck into your upper ear to kind of keep them in place. They come with a lanyard, so if you take them out, they're not going to fly off. Again, they're designed for surfing, so it's designed so you do some huge wipeout or so, like they're going to
Yeah.
stay in essentially. But a really good application for swim run. On a long run, you can just pop them out and just let them dangle. Of course, then you have to remember to put it back in, which is problematic. I've done races where I just leave them in the whole time and it's fine. But really we found like this was like the best solution to date. And I know Annie, we pretty much convinced you, didn't take a lot of convincing to have you and Brooke try it. So I'm curious, someone who was also kind of trying to solve this problem, kind of like what you thought.
Yeah.
And before you go there, the other solutions are the like wax. Basically, just jam a bunch of wax in your ears, pretty much. Or is there kind of like an earplug? Like, what's the non-$50 way to
Yeah.
solve this problem? Just the wax kind of
Yeah. Let me
piece,
tell you.
but then you can't hear anything.
Right. So
Right.
there's lots of like under $5 solutions. So what I had been doing as long as I've been swimming is there's this product called, well, I actually don't know what it's called. It's for inside.
You're kind of getting pretty
Yeah,
crunchy
you're getting
there.
really crackly again.
Uh-oh.
Got crackly.
Do you
You're
think
good now.
I'm good now? Do you think the
Don't
listeners
move.
at home are going to hear the crackles or my voice?
I don't know.
Shoot. Okay.
I think it's recording it locally, but it's just whether what it's recording is crackly on your
Yeah.
side or not.
Yeah. Okay.
Why don't we? It's not
Why don't you
happening right
take that
now.
again on the $5, the options under $5?
Lots
Sure.
of $5 options.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a number of under $5 options. There's one called, it's the Sporty brand. It's like a budget swim brand, SPORTI. And the shape of the earplugs is sort of like a 3-tiered rubber Christmas tree. And they come on a lanyard. And this is like a very affordable solution because you can wear it around your neck. It does all the things like that the SurfEars do, except let sound in. And so that's a pretty good option for the on the fly in and out of your ears. It's $3.95. The other thing I've tried is Max, which is its wax earplug product. It's also super cheap, but it's almost like a single use product. You can get like 3 to 5 uses out of it, but you're just like going through these balls of wax every time you swim. They also don't let sound in. And then there's also like job site earplugs, those little foam ones, or like ones that people would use for sleeping. You just compress them and stick them in your ear, and those actually work surprisingly well. But again, these are only durable enough for 5 uses, maybe at the most. The sporty plugs you could use for probably a couple months, but they get kind of crusty and weird, and they all completely deafen you to the outside world. So whether that's like safety and open water swimming, but most importantly for SwimRun, you need to be able to hear your partner. And and so the trade-off was always that I was just yelling because Buck is like you, Chipper, and she does not mind having experience. She's fine with it. So I would just never hear what she said. I'd always be yelling if I had to talk to her and saying, what? What? So anyway, those are the options pre-SurfEars. And then when SurfEars kindly offered to send us a pair to try, my life changed. Brooke and I could communicate. Training, racing, they amazing. I don't know how they work, but they work really well solving this problem.
Yeah, I think, well, they describe it on their website, a little bit. So like the tech, quote unquote
The
technology.
technology.
But yeah, I mean, that was certainly our experience. I mean, the thing about like the wax kind of silicone ones is that because it's wax, like, the second you drop it, it's like, well, that can't use that anymore because now it has like dirt and all sorts of stuff like stuck in it, kind of thing, like lint. You don't want it back in your ears. And it'd be the thing where, the $5 ones, which is what I use for the pool, because that works great. I'm not trying to talk to anyone except for Chipper if he's in my lane mostly, right? I would do swim run practices where I would take them out and I'd try to keep them in my knuckle or something and just kind of run with them so that I can put them back in. And there wasn't any really good solution there that seemed to solve what I was trying to get out of my swim run experience, which is, hey, I'm out here with one of my best friends on an adventure. It's not just about being able to communicate with him and kind of, shoot the shit necessarily, but it's also like hearing other people, announcements, danger, you know,
Earplug.
or plus
Bears.
there's another piece to it is that when you run with these earplugs, especially the ones that primarily the ones that like block the sound out to me, it kind of feels like you're just running like it's just really kind of an annoying running feeling because all you hear is kind of your heartbeat and your breath,
Yeah.
really. And it's not like wild free running in any way. It's like you're running in a bubble or something.
It's kind of probably what the same thing comparison that people make about running with headphones. It's like when you run outside, I like to listen to the nature and everything around me when I'm outside, like getting that experience as opposed to the muffled off or being closed off that sounds like the wax ear plug experience gives.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
swim running in a padded room.
So I'm thinking as someone who hasn't used these, okay, well, if you can hear talking, then there must be some water that gets in somehow. How does it work? Or is it you're no issues with the water leakage or seepage?
So here's what I think it is, and this is sort of explained on their website. It's material that's going in your ear. It still has the three little mini Christmas tree situation, but I think they're just like way wigglier, so it creates a seal. But it's like they're thinner. So you make the seal, but sound can still kind of get through because the silicone or whatever material it's using isn't crazy thick. Um, but it also has sizing. So if you have like just giant ear holes or something, they have a larger size. Or if you have really petite, cute ear holes, there's a smaller size there. So you can kind of customize them for that. Incidentally, they also have a product called SwimEars, which is essentially the same thing, but it doesn't have the little kind of hook that goes into little top portion, your upper ear to kind of lock it in.
Yeah.
So if you don't like the little hook thing, there is an option there. But yeah, I think really like the main advantage is trying to unlock the best swim run experience that you can. And I think, that means, okay, making sure you're not like dizzy or disoriented or making bad decisions or whatever, or getting like sometimes with super cold water you can get like an ice cream headache. And a lot of that kind of can come from your inner ear being super cold.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, what type of like communicative experience you want to have and still not, basically you want to remove all the variables that are just going to make for an annoying day, and losing earplugs can be annoying. Not being able to hear your partner is annoying. But also being dizzy and disoriented can be really annoying too, and dangerous, like a race to low where it's like super slippery and stuff. Like you want to get out of those swims, be able to stand up and go, not be like, oh, let me just like
Yeah.
slip back into this thing. So, there's some like practical safety reasons, but there's also like the experience reasons on why a product like SurfEars is just a good solution for this, like, talk about niche, but like a super niche problem within SwimRun.
Totally. And I don't think they knew that we were their audience, but they made something that feels very purpose built for SwimRun. These earplugs,
Mhm.
this sounds really lofty, but that's where I like to go on these podcasts. They're like, they're almost
Why
a
we have you.
60.
That's why
Thanks,
you're
guys.
on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They're almost a $60 earplug, which made me balk at first. And I was just like, that's crazy. But actually, in just thinking out loud here about all the different disposable earplugs I have used over the years, I think cost per use is probably similar or less than those. And these earplugs build connection with people, with nature. That's pretty amazing for an earplug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is how much reduction of sound would you put if you had to put does it give you a 50% reduction, 25? Like how much do you think you still hear? Because I will say, when we're during a race and if I'm running behind Chris, which is when we're normally talking, there is sometimes that I don't think he hears me or he's acting like he doesn't hear me.
Do you think this is an earplug issue?
This might
Is
go beyond
like
earplugs.
marriage counseling? Yes,
Yeah.
Dipper, I hear you when you talk.
No, but
I don't know.
I do
You
notice.
got to bring this up. Yeah.
Sorry, I just can't let this go. I do notice that if I'm like more talking under my breath or not like actively kind of trying to project in your area. So I do feel like it's not letting 100% of the sound in. So I guess, yeah, sorry. My question is, how much of the sound do you feel like it lets in? So how much sound does it let in? The SurfEars.
Asking how much sound does it let in? Are you sure you're not asking, Chris, why do you ignore me when I talk passive aggressively under my breath behind you when we're running? Is that what you're really trying to ask? Okay. Objectively, I think
it's certainly. Go ahead.
objectively, I think it does muffle probably % of sound. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty good.
co-sign on that.
Yeah.
I co-sign on. I think, yeah, if you're muttering under your breath or just kind of not projecting like towards me, it's hard to hear. But if you're like next to me or if I'm like looking at you while you're talking, I feel like I can hear you fine. Yeah, but it's certainly, and if you're whispering, it's probably hard to hear for sure.
Yeah. Noted.
Usually not your problem.
That's pretty. Yeah, usually whispering is not my thing anyway. But that's pretty good that it would let 70% of the sound, roughly about 70% of the sound in. And I will say I have been getting ads on Instagram for SurfEars, and they do show SwimRunners. They like advertise and they show a video or a picture of SwimRunners like putting the SurfEars in. So they're aware.
They are a sponsor of Tilla now.
Oh my gosh, good for them. Way to hook up with your target consumer.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a match
Nice.
made in heaven, I think.
We also haven't seen a dime, the Low Tide Boyz PayPal account from this, but it's fine. It's okay.
Okay.
It's all for the service, right? It's all in service.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think, we don't need to belabor it too much. I think if we want to give people advice, SurfEars for people who need them have been a really unlock. I know Brooke tried them and liked them. I know tons of swim runners out there that have gotten them and have given us positive feedback. But I think it's, if we step back, I think if this episode can be instructive for other problems in swim run, because the sport is so young, we're still figuring a bunch of stuff out. We think we know what the optimal kit is, and carbon fiber paddles come out. It's we just leveled up here, or suit technology changes, or pull buoy technology changes. So it's kind of a moving target. So I think I have a good experience, and we're all kind of out here trying to figure it out. Is thinking about is okay, what creative solution can I come up with for this? Like couple gear talks ago, we're talking about a container to put your salt tabs in, allow water to get in, right? There's all these little things where we can iterate, and that's one of the cool things about the sport, really. There's all these different ways to try to solve these problems, and this is one that I think is a pretty low hanging fruit in terms of finding a solution, which is why we wanted to do a show about it, because I mean, the last thing you want is to be all like, whoa, after a long
Yeah.
swim.
I'm trying to think of any area of opportunity for SurfEars to improve, because I don't know if we're doing pull buoy ratings on this one, but I would give it
We
a
have
pull
to.
buoy rating. I'm just going to say that right now. It solves the problem as perfectly as I would desire. And the one issue I've had is the lanyard. Sometimes, because the lanyard is made out of rubber, this really thin, stretchy rubber, sometimes it's gotten caught inside my net gasket, or even not caught inside my net gasket, but I've gotten chafing from it in salt water. And so I don't know what the solution is. I don't know how this could be better, but a retaining system for the SurfEars that is a little less loose, a little more close to the body.
Fitted.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, Chris, you've
Right.
done it where you have taken that string off, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So depending on the race and depending kind of like how serious it is, basically for the world champs, I took the lanyard off because I just figured I just don't want to worry about these things. So I'm just going to leave them in the whole time. But for Bellingham or anything that's kind of more freshwatery, I might bring the lanyard. Or if there's a significantly like long run in there, I'll bring the lanyard so that, can just like run free without the end. Sometimes I'll just pop one out if it's a long run so I can remember to put it back in essentially. But the lanyard's an issue, but you can just take them apart and pull them out if you want and try different ways. For practice, I usually leave the lanyard on, just don't want to lose these things. But yeah, depending on race conditions, I'll take the lanyard off.
And what is your
What's your pull buoy rating?
Oh, 5. Yeah. 5 pull buoys. I wish it
5
was a
out
little
of
bit
5.
cheaper. Probably should be a little bit cheaper. But yeah, it's just, I love them.
I mean, and I've had this product now for 3 years, and it's going strong. So
wow. Yeah, you
pretty
would have
good.
went through a couple dozen
God.
wax ear things at,
I would have gone through
$5-7
more than a couple dozen. Yeah, they have earned every cent that was spent on them.
Wow. You heard
There
it
you
here,
go.
folks.
Chipper, are you going to abstain with a pull buoy rating, or you just want to throw one out there?
On the Can My Partner Hear Me pull buoy rating, I do give them, I think a 4 is a good mark. They solve all the problems. Chris can hear me now. And he's not disoriented after swims. So yeah.
What was that?
Huh? I said
He said you could hear him now.
you always do this.
They can also say the marriage rating.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I guess with that, so that's SurfEars. If there's anything you'd like us to review on the show, reach out to us, let us know what you think of this format. Always happy to answer questions. Once again, congrats to everyone that did to the Swim World Championship. When the time this show comes out, it'll be a few weeks on. Hope you're basking in the glory of what that was all about and enjoying and reminiscing fondly on that experience.
Major respect to all of you. And thank you to SurfEars for solving a problem that we had.
Way to go, SurfEars. Earmark this episode, people.
Earmark. See what you just did there? Mm-hmm. Love it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. Thank you for coming on.
Pleasure as always.
I guess
that's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboyz.com. That's boys with a Z, for swimrun resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boyz on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboyz@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run.
And then a swim.
Then another run.
Then another swim.
Then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel
too. Of course, yes.